We're going deep on Alex Hormozi's masterclass.
Okay.
How to sell better than 99% of people.
Mm.
What I love about him is he's not your typical,
Nice.
slick salesman.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean?
He throws out the playbook.
Yeah.
The old playbook, right?
Exactly.
Like all that stuff is out the window.
Yeah, it's all about human connection.
Yeah, it's about genuinely helping people.
Right, and he actually says that
Yeah.
selling is helping prospects make decisions to help themselves.
I love that.
It's like a total mindset shift.
Totally.
You know, instead of trying to close.
Close.
Yeah, it's like, how can I actually be of service here?
Yeah, how can I help you make a decision that's best for you?
Right.
Even if it's not me. Even if it's not buying my product right now.
And I think that's a really interesting point you bring up.
Yeah.
Because he talks about, you can actually win every sale.
Right?
By changing the metric.
Exactly.
So it's not about...
Not about the numbers game.
It's not about closing every single person.
Right.
It's about, did you actually provide value in that interaction?
Did you genuinely try to help them?
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they bought or not.
Regardless.
And I think that's a really powerful reframe.
It is.
Because it takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Right? It takes the pressure off of you as the salesperson.
So when you're dealing with objections then,
Right.
how do you approach that?
Yeah, because those are always tough.
Right? Yeah, like when somebody hits you with the
classic,
I'm just looking for information, or...
I need to think about it.
Right, exactly.
So Hormozi, he makes this distinction between obstacles and objections.
Okay.
Right? So an obstacle is like a hurdle that you've got to get over before you can even get to the finish line.
Got it.
Like before you can even present the offer.
Okay.
An objection comes after you've actually laid out the offer.
Okay, so it's where are they in the process?
Exactly.
So I'm just looking for information would be an obstacle.
That's an obstacle.
Yeah.
Because they're not even ready to hear your offer yet.
Right.
And so what he says is you have to address that obstacle first.
Okay.
Before you can even move forward.
And how do you do that?
So for example, when somebody says, I'm just looking for information.
Which they say all the time.
All the time.
It's like the classic brush off.
Right, exactly. It's like their defense mechanism.
Right.
But he says 9 times out of 10,
yeah,
they're not actually just looking for information.
Right.
They're trying to solve a problem.
There's something driving them there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're in pain. They
Yeah.
just haven't admitted it to themselves yet.
How do you get them to admit it?
Well, he says you can say something like, no problem at all. A lot of people are just looking around these days.
Okay.
Do you find yourself doing that often?
Oh, interesting.
So you're kind of calling them out a little bit.
You're calling their bluff in a way.
Yeah, in a playful way.
But not in a...
And not in a confrontational way.
Right. Not in a...
Right.
You're being a jerk about it.
Exactly. You're not trying to make them feel bad.
Right.
You're just trying to get them to be honest.
To be real with you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And what that does is it opens up the conversation.
Okay.
Because now they're like, well, okay, maybe I am trying to solve a problem.
Right.
Maybe I am in pain.
Right.
And maybe this person can help me.
And that's where that conviction comes in, right?
Exactly.
Because if you don't believe in what you're selling...
It's going to show.
Yeah.
It's going to show a mile away.
It's so true.
People can sniff out inauthenticity.
He can smell it.
Like a bloodhound.
A mile away.
So if you're not convinced about your product or service, you're not going to convince anyone else.
And he says that the most convicted person wins the sale.
I love that quote.
Isn't that good?
It's so true.
So good.
Because it's not about being pushy.
Right.
It's about genuinely believing in what you're offering.
Yeah.
And when you do that, your tone changes, your energy shifts.
Completely.
It doesn't feel like a sales pitch anymore.
It feels like you're sharing something you're excited about.
Exactly.
Right.
You're like, dude, you got to hear about this.
Yeah. Have you heard about this?
No.
I'm so excited to tell you about this.
Exactly.
It's contagious, right?
It is contagious.
Enthusiasm is contagious.
Totally.
And that kind of leads into his next point about asking hard questions. And now when we say hard questions, we don't mean
Right. We're not talking about interrogation here.
No, we're not grilling them.
No.
But we are talking about really getting to the heart of the matter.
Asking those tough questions that make them think.
Yes.
And the reason you're asking these hard questions is because you care.
He says, closers ask hard questions because they genuinely care.
I love that.
It's so good.
Because it's about understanding their why.
Okay, their why.
What is their motivation?
What's the root of this?
What's the pain point
right
that's driving them to seek a solution?
And so instead of just saying
Yeah.
what are your objections?
What are your objections? Yeah.
It's more
What's your experience been with this so far?
oh, that's good.
What's holding you back from achieving desired outcome?
Yes.
You're digging deeper.
You're getting to that why.
You're getting to the root of it.
And when you understand their why, then your solutions become that much more powerful.
Exactly, because now you can tailor your pitch
Yes.
to their specific needs and pain points.
Oh, it's so good.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach anymore.
No.
It's personalized.
It's all about them.
It's all about them.
It's so good.
And that's how you build trust.
Yeah.
And that's how you win the sale.
And he also talks about, like, even the way you ask the question matters.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just the words you're saying.
Tone of voice is everything.
It's everything.
Body language.
It's true.
All of that communicates so much more than your words ever could.
And he gives this example of a guy who's, like, complaining about, like, having bad leads.
Right.
And he's like, instead of
buying into that story,
yes,
he's like, I want you to embody the feeling of having amazing leads.
I love that.
Right.
Embody the feeling.
Embody the feeling.
It's so good.
Imagine saying, these leads are so good, I'm even studying for my real estate license so I can use them myself.
Oh my God.
Like, that's the energy.
That changes everything.
It changes everything.
Because you're like, wait a minute.
Right.
If he's that excited about these leads,
Maybe I should be too.
maybe I'm missing something.
Right. It's so good.
It's all about shifting your energy, shifting your belief.
Yeah, and letting that radiate outwards.
Exactly.
Because people can feel that.
they can feel
They
it.
can feel your energy.
It's like you're literally embodying the energy of success.
Yes.
And then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
It's so good.
Because when you believe it,
Yeah.
it's easier to make other people believe it too.
So true. It's like you're giving off those vibes.
Exactly.
And that makes me think about when he talks about sales being a dance, not a fight.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think he means by that?
It's like you're moving together.
Okay.
You're not trying to overpower the other person.
You're not trying to win.
You're trying to find a rhythm together.
Okay, got it.
Right. You're trying to create a connection.
It's about collaboration,
Yeah.
not combat.
Exactly. And it's about leading with that intention to genuinely help
Okay.
rather than trying to force a sale.
So it's seduction,
Not-
coercion.
Exactly. You're guiding them through a process,
Okay.
addressing their concerns, and ultimately leading them towards a decision that feels right for them.
Okay, I like that, leading them towards what feels right,
Yeah.
not like pushing them.
Right. Exactly. You're not trying to close them at all costs.
Okay.
You're trying to help them make the best decision for themselves.
And a big part of that dance is this idea of restating and using anecdotes.
Oh, yeah. He talks a lot about that.
He does. He's a big believer in that.
And I think it's so important because it makes them feel heard
Yes.
when you take the time to actually listen.
Instead of just waiting for your turn to talk.
Exactly. Don't just like plan your next point in your head
Right.
while they're talking.
Be present.
Be present.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to what they're saying
And reflect back.
and reflect back.
What you're hearing.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is,
Yes.
right, and not just parrot back their words,
Right.
but like really try to understand the meaning behind them.
The feeling behind the word.
The feeling, the experience.
Yes.
And then validate that.
So it's less about, here's why you need my product.
Right.
It's
Oh,
more like,
I understand where you're coming from.
yes.
I've been there.
I've been there.
I've talked to other people who've been there.
Yes.
Like, here's what I've learned.
Yes, exactly.
So good.
And that's where those anecdotes come in.
Right, because stories stick with people.
They do.
They're so much more memorable.
Think about it. Are you more likely to remember a dry statistic
No.
or a captivating story about somebody
A story.
who overcame a challenge similar to yours?
Right, exactly. A story that you can connect with emotionally.
That makes you feel something.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what's going to make it stick.
And that's what's going to make you want to take action.
Exactly.
And that leads us to price.
Oh, yes. Price. The big scary P word.
Right, but he's not afraid to talk about it.
He's not.
No, he's like, lean into it.
He's all about it.
He's all about it.
He loves talking about money.
He does.
And he actually encourages salespeople to embrace those gasp moments.
Yes, the gasps.
When you reveal the price.
Oh, yeah, because that means you're doing something right.
Okay, so tell me more about that. Why the gasp?
So when somebody gasps at your price, it means that you've positioned the value effectively,
Okay.
right? They're gasping because they're like, whoa, I didn't realize it was going to be that much.
Okay.
But they're also thinking,
Oh,
maybe it's worth it.
because of everything you've just told them.
Exactly.
Right.
You build up the value so much that even though they're surprised by the price,
They're intrigued.
they're intrigued.
They're like, tell me more.
They're hooked.
Right.
And that's what you want.
Okay.
You want them to be hooked.
So it's all about creating that contrast.
Yes.
Yep.
It's like setting a reference point.
Okay.
He talks about starting high
Okay.
with your initial price.
Not to be manipulative.
No, not to be manipulative,
Right.
but to set a framework for comparison.
Got it.
Right. So it's
Right.
like when you go to a restaurant
Okay.
and you see a $500 bottle of wine on the menu,
Yeah.
suddenly the $100 bottle of wine doesn't seem so bad,
Right.
even though it's still a lot of money for a bottle of wine.
It's all about perception.
And all about perception.
So true.
And so when you're not getting those gasps,
Yeah.
he's like, you're not aiming high enough.
You're not dreaming big enough
If you're not dreaming big enough.
with your pricing.
Exactly. He
Wow.
wants you to celebrate those gasps.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, dude, you should have heard the gasp on that one.
I love that.
It's like a badge of honor.
It's like you're doing something right.
You're doing something right.
If they're gasping.
Exactly.
Because it's not about the price tag.
Right.
It's about the value.
The value.
All right.
It's about whether they believe that that value justifies the cost.
And a lot of times people confuse cost with affordability,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like something might be technically within my budget,
Right.
but it still doesn't feel affordable.
Because you're not convinced of the value.
Yes.
Right.
And so how do you overcome that objection then?
Well, he says you have to really double down on the value proposition.
Okay.
You have to paint a picture
Okay.
of what their life is going to look like. Once they've invested in your product or service,
And how is it going to be different?
that's exactly, how is it going to be better?
Right.
What problems are you solving for them?
What are the benefits?
What are the benefits?
Okay.
And how are those benefits going to translate into tangible results?
Okay. Tangible results. I
Right.
like that.
Yeah, you got to connect those dots.
So it's not just like, oh, this is going to make you feel better. It's
Right.
like, no, this is going to make you more money.
More money.
This is going to save you
Saves you
time.
time.
This is going to improve your relationship.
Improve your relationships.
Like whatever it is.
Whatever it is that they value,
Yes.
you got to tie it back to that.
And make it real for them.
Make it real.
Make it tangible.
tangible.
Okay.
And he also talks about reframing the conversation around affordability.
Okay. How do you do that?
So instead of focusing on the upfront cost,
Okay.
right, because that's what people get hung up on,
Yeah. The sticker shock.
the sticker shock.
Right.
He says talk about the long-term return on investment.
Oh, the ROI.
You ROI?
I love that.
Because ultimately,
Soft to me.
it's an investment in themselves.
Not a cost.
Exactly.
It's reframing it.
reframing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. What about, I need to think about it.
Oh, that one.
The worst.
The worst, right?
Like, what do you do with that?
Because they're just trying to get off the phone.
Yeah. They're just like,
They're just brushing you off.
yeah, give me an easy out.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you handle that gracefully?
Well, he says, instead of just saying, sure, no problem,
Right.
which is what most salespeople do,
Yeah.
he's like, dig a little deeper,
Okay.
say something like,
Okay.
totally understand what specifically are you thinking about?
Oh.
What are your main concerns right now?
Oh, I like that.
So you're not letting them off the hook.
You're reeling them back in.
You're reeling them back
You're
in.
like, wait a minute.
You're like, hold on. I hear you, but let's talk about this.
Let's get real.
Let's get real. What's the real objection here?
Yes, because often that phrase is just a smokescreen.
It's a defense mechanism.
Right, for some other fear or objection that they're not ready to reveal.
Yeah.
And so how do you create that space?
By asking those tough questions.
Yeah.
By really leaning into the conversation.
And not being afraid to go there.
Not being afraid to go there.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's not a fight.
It's a dance.
It's a dance.
We're dancing.
We're dancing.
We're not fighting.
We're partners in this.
We're partners.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
It's all about building that trust.
Okay. And he talks about having these like go-to stories.
Yes.
And metaphors.
The metaphors.
Right in your back pocket.
Yes.
Like your little toolkit.
Your toolkit of
Your
persuasion.
persuasion toolkit.
Yes.
Okay. I love that.
Oh, good.
So he says, have those stories ready to go
Have them ready.
so that when you hit those objections,
Oh,
you can just pull one out.
you got a story for that.
Yeah.
He says, the best salespeople have key stories or metaphors to break the belief that the person has around that obstacle.
That's so good.
It's so true.
Okay. And what makes a good story?
A good story is relatable.
Okay.
It's something that people can connect with.
Okay.
It's not some generic sales script.
Right. It's got to be real.
It's got to be real,
Authentic.
authentic,
Okay.
and it's got to have an emotional hook,
Okay.
something that's going to make people feel something.
So good.
Yeah.
And he also encourages salespeople to use humor.
Oh, yeah. Strategically.
strategically.
Right.
Not to be cheesy.
Not to be cheesy or
Quite appropriate.
inappropriate, but to like lighten the mood,
Lighten the mood.
build rapport.
Build rapport.
Yeah, and I love that he talks about the ghetto tone.
Oh, yeah, the ghetto tone is great.
Tell me more about that.
So it's basically like mirroring the prospect's energy
Okay.
and language.
So you're meeting them where they are.
You're meeting them where they are.
You're speaking their language.
Okay.
And you're showing them that you're on the same wavelength.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's about being flexible.
Flexible, authentic,
Not robotic.
not robotic.
Yeah,
You're not just sticking to your script.
right.
You're reading the room.
You're reading the room.
You're
Right.
adjusting your approach based on the person you're talking to.
So important. And then, of course, there's persistence.
Persistence.
That respectful persistence.
Respectful persistence.
Yeah,
You don't want
yeah.
to be pushy,
No.
but you also don't want to be afraid to reiterate the offer
Right.
if you genuinely believe it's the right fit.
And he uses that analogy of the loop.
The loop, yes.
So you address the objection.
Address the objection.
Re-emphasize the value.
Re-emphasize the
And they
value.
loop back to the ask.
Loop it back around. And
Yeah.
you keep doing that
Okay.
until they either say yes
Yes or no.
or they give you a hard no.
And a hard no is okay.
Hard no is okay.
All right.
It's all part of the process.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah.
And he also talks about how important trust is.
Trust is everything.
In sales.
In sales, in life.
In life in general.
Right.
Yeah.
And he says that the person who cares more about the prospect
Yeah.
ultimately wins the sale.
Wins the sale, wins in life.
Wins in life.
It's so true.
Right, because people can sense that.
They can feel
They
it.
can feel your intention.
Yes.
And if they feel like you're just in it for the commission,
Yeah.
they're gone.
They're out.
They're out of there.
They can smell it a mile away.
They can smell it.
Yeah.
So you got to genuinely care
Genuinely care
about helping them,
about them
as a human being,
as a person.
as a person,
Yes.
not just a number.
Not just a dollar sign.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're building trust. We're being persistent but respectful. We're using stories and metaphors.
We're embodying the energy of success.
We're embodying the energy of success.
We're asking those tough questions.
Yes.
We're really trying to understand their why.
They're wise.
And we're recording our sales calls.
Oh, yes. Tell me more about that.
So he's a big believer in this.
He is.
He's like, you got to record your calls
Okay.
and you got to review them.
Why is that so important?
Because it's like having game tape
Okay.
for salespeople,
Got it.
right? You can watch yourself in action,
See what you did well.
see what you did well,
What you could improve.
what you could improve,
Yeah.
identify any patterns or areas where you're getting stuck,
Or any missed opportunities.
missed opportunities.
Yeah.
And then you can use that feedback
To get better.
to get better, to improve your skills,
To refine your approach.
to refine your approach.
Yeah. And I love that he encourages people to not only record their calls,
Yes.
but also to share them
Share it
with their managers or mentors.
get feedback.
Get feedback.
Collaboration.
Watch. How important.
So good. And then, of course, we can't talk about sales without talking about ethics.
Right.
Right.
Ethics are huge. And he's very clear that ethical selling is about doing what's right for the customer,
Always.
even if it means they don't buy from you today.
Even if it means you lose the sale.
Right.
He's like, it's a long game.
It's a long game.
It's about building those relationships,
You can trust.
building trust.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means walking away
Walking away
from
from
a sale.
if it's not the right fit.
If it's not the right fit,
Yes.
if it's not going to truly benefit the customer,
Because ultimately
Yeah.
your reputation is everything.
your reputation is everything.
And if you burn that trust,
You're done.
you're done.
It's over.
It's over.
So he actually challenges salespeople
Yeah.
to ask themselves this question.
Oh, God.
He's like, would I sell this to my own mother?
Oh, I love that.
Right?
The mom test.
The mom test.
So good.
If the answer is no,
Yeah.
it's probably time to reevaluate
Reevaluate your product.
your product, your
If
approach.
Your whole life.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's about operating from a place of integrity, transparency,
Transparency.
and always putting the customer first.
The customer first.
Always.
He's really setting a high bar
Yeah.
for ethical salesmanship.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you out there who are maybe leading teams
Right.
or thinking about scaling your sales efforts,
Okay.
he has some really great advice
Yeah. He breaks it down
on how to do it.
into 6 key elements
Okay.
for building a high-performing sales team.
Hit me with those elements.
All right. So we got scripting,
Okay.
training recordings, communication cutting underperformers, and career paths.
Okay. Let's unpack those a little bit.
All right.
So first up, scripting.
Yeah.
And I know when people hear scripting, they think like
Oh, robotic.
robotic. Yeah.
Salesy.
Salesy fake.
Yeah.
But that's not what he's talking about, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's more about having a framework
Okay. A framework.
for the conversation.
Got it.
So it's not about like memorizing word for word.
Right.
It's about having a structure,
Okay.
a flow
Okay.
that you can follow.
Okay. That makes sense.
And he's a big believer in using a question-based approach.
Okay.
So instead of just like bombarding them with information,
Right.
you're asking questions
Okay.
that guide them towards the solution.
I like that, guiding them.
Yeah.
Not dragging them.
Not dragging.
Or like clubbing them over the head.
No clubbing with
Fascinating.
information.
No information overload.
Okay.
It's more about like a process of discovery.
Okay.
You're helping them to uncover their own needs
I love that.
and desires.
Yes, and arrive at the conclusion
Exactly.
that maybe your product
That's the answer
is the answer for them
that they've been looking for.
that they didn't even know they were looking for
Right.
until you started asking these questions.
It's like you're planting seeds
Yes.
and then they're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need.
It's like you're the guide
Yes.
on their journey of self-discovery.
All right. I love, okay, so scripting, we're clear.
Scripting check.
Check. It's not a bad word.
Not a bad word.
Okay, good. What about training?
Okay, training is huge.
Okay.
He's a big advocate for daily training.
Daily.
Daily.
Like every single day.
Every single day.
Wow.
And not just for new hires.
Okay.
For everyone.
Everyone on the team.
Top performers.
Wow.
Seasoned vets.
Why is that?
Because he believes that sales is a skill
Okay.
that requires constant honing,
Constant improvement.
constant improvement.
You're never done learning.
You're never done learning.
I like that.
And so he recommends a full 60 minutes,
An hour a day.
an hour a day,
Wow.
5 days a week
Of training.
of training.
What does that training look like?
It's a combination of things.
Yeah, okay.
He talks about practicing your talking skills.
Okay.
So like reading the scripts out loud,
Okay.
getting the tonality right,
Okay.
practicing your delivery.
Your delivery. Yeah.
But he also emphasizes the importance of listening skills
Oh, interesting.
because listening is just as important as talking,
If not more so.
if not more so in sales.
Absolutely.
So he wants salespeople to really listen to recordings of themselves
Oh.
and others
Got it.
to identify areas for improvement.
So it's like that self-awareness piece.
Self-awareness,
Yeah.
big time.
Like, how am I actually coming across
See,
to
it's
this
a-
person?
Because we all have blind spots.
We do. We have so many blind spots.
We do.
And we can't see them ourselves.
Yeah.
We need that outside perspective.
You need that feedback
Yes.
from others.
Okay. So training, super important.
Training is crucial.
Crucial. And then we have recordings.
Recordings, yeah.
He's a big believer in recording your calls.
Oh, huge.
Huge.
He's like, if you're not recording your calls,
Yeah.
you're missing out on a huge opportunity
To get better.
to get better,
To improve.
to learn from your mistakes,
To learn from your wins.
from your wins.
Right. Because you can go back and listen. And be like, oh, what did I do there?
What did I do right?
Yeah.
What could I have done better?
I love it.
And he encourages managers to use those recordings for coaching.
Oh.
So it's not just about like
Yeah.
listening to yourself.
Right.
It's about getting feedback from someone who's more experienced,
You've been there.
who's been there, done that.
And can give you that guidance.
Exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so scripting, training, recording.
That's communication.
Communicate.
Communication is key.
Okay, tell me more about that.
He's a big believer in having very clear communication cycles within the team.
Okay. So it's not just like individual coaching.
Right.
It's about like team communication.
Team communication,
Yeah,
collaboration,
collaboration.
open dialogues.
Open dialogue. I like that.
Yeah.
So what does that look like?
So he suggests having like daily wrap-ups
Okay.
to celebrate wins,
Love it.
offer encouragement,
Yes.
keep the energy high.
Keep the morale up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he also recommends weekly team meetings
Okay.
to kind of like get everyone on the same page,
Okay.
to go over like
strategy.
feedback, challenges, obstacles,
Yeah.
brainstorm solutions together.
Oh, I love that teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It really does.
Right.
Okay, so communication, we're on the same page.
And then sometimes you got to make tough decisions
Oh, yeah.
and cut underperformers quickly.
He's very clear about that.
He is very clear about that.
He's like, rip the Band-Aid off.
Rip it off. Get rid of them. He's like, it's better to let someone go sooner rather than later if they're not the right fit,
If they're not meeting expectations.
if they're not meeting expectations.
And it's not about being ruthless.
No, it's not about being mean,
It's about protecting the team,
protecting the team.
the energy of the team,
The energy,
the culture of the company.
the culture.
Right.
Because one bad apple
Can spoil the whole bunch.
I fold a whole bunch.
So true.
And he has that great line, no pedas.
Oh, yes. Remind me what that stands for.
No prima donna all-star expletive.
I love that.
Right.
So good.
Basically what he's saying is,
Yeah.
even if someone is like crushing it
Right.
in terms of sales numbers,
Yeah.
if they're toxic,
Yeah.
if they're disruptive,
Yeah.
if they're bringing down the team,
Yeah.
get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it in the long run.
It's not worth the long-term damage
They're-
that they're going to do
to the organization.
to the organization,
To the culture. To the culture.
to the morale,
To everything.
no pedas.
No patas.
I love it.
I love it. And then finally, career paths.
Career paths.
So this is about like giving people something to strive for.
Yes.
Right? Like they come in.
Give them a reason to stay.
Yeah.
Give them a reason to grow.
To grow within the organization.
Exactly.
To move up the ranks.
To become a top performer.
Yes.
To lead their own team one day.
And be that leader.
Exactly.
That they always wanted to be.
And so he recommends implementing like contests.
Okay.
Leaderboards.
Oh, yeah. A little friendly
A
competition.
little friendly competition never hurt anyone.
Exactly.
Really.
Keeps people motivated.
Motivated, engaged.
Engaged. And then also just like providing those opportunities for growth
Yes.
and advancement.
Professional development.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mentorship.
Mentorship, so important.
All of that.
All those things.
To help people grow their skills and advance their careers.
So they feel valued
Yes.
by the company.
Valued, appreciated.
Appreciated.
And like they have a future.
Like they have a future here.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our 6 elements.
6 elements.
Scripting, training recordings,
Uh,
communication cutting underperformers, and career paths.
boom. There you have it.
That's how you build a high-performing sales team.
That's the recipe
The recipe for success.
for success.
I love it. So as we kind of wrap things up here,
What are some of the key takeaways
key takeaways.
that you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest one is that selling doesn't have to be this like
Yeah.
slimy, manipulative,
Sleazy.
sleazy thing.
Yeah.
It can be a force for good.
It can be.
It can be a way to genuinely help people,
To make a difference.
to make a difference
In the world.
in the world.
Yeah.
And it all starts with your mindset,
Your mind's.
your intention.
Right.
If you're coming from a place of service,
Service.
of genuinely wanting to help people,
Of care.
of care,
Yes.
the results will follow.
The results will follow.
They will.
They will.
The universe will conspire to make it happen.
I love it.
So go out there and sell with heart.
So with heart.
Sell with integrity.
And make a difference.
Make a difference.
In the world.
I love it. So good.
Right.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for diving deep with us
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
into the world of Alex Hormozi.
Always a good time. And high ticket sales.
High ticket sales, baby.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
We'll see you soon.